pre-video warning that I just got LASIK a week ago and there's still some bright redness in my eye from the procedure. It's not painful in any way to me, but I wanted to let you know in case anyone is squeamish to that sort of thing. Enjoy and sleep well. Hello everybody, it's GB. It has been 1 year since my first tattoo tour video. So I'm going to show you the 5 new tattoos I've gotten in that year right now. I'll also show you how my other tattoos have sort of settled into the skin, as they're all at least a year old. So you can kind of see what that looks like, even though a year is still pretty new. And we're going to jump right in because I know you want to see them. Let's go. So jumping right into it, if you do have questions, I have made very long videos explaining what's happening, what my plans are. So I'll put all of that in the description. Q&As, I'm sure I could do an updated one. I could talk about this for hours, but we'll keep it simple for now. And the TLDR is that I am trying to completely fill my legs using a sort of patchwork style. So tattoos very close to each other and filling my entire legs from hips to ankles, essentially making 2 leg sleeves. So the last time I left you guys, I had just gotten the Nenfish, which I will show how those healed. And that was end of March 2022. So the next tattoo that we have not seen in HD, well, this is actually 4K. So putting it in 4K, this is my Team Rocket tattoo that I got from Laurel Lupo from Chibi Tattoo Montreal. An absolute gem of a person, gem of a studio, and it was my 3rd time going back. Every single tattoo I have is by a different artist, and everyone in that entire shop is so talented. It's such a good vibe in there. Cannot recommend more. So this tattoo is of Jesse, James, and Meowth. As I'm filming this, this is 6 months old. Okay, so it is very much settled into the skin, and I can show you pictures of when I just got it done, so you can kind of tell where it is on my leg. It's on the side of my knee on the outside, and the reason I wanted this in this spot was if I pulled it up higher on my leg when I wear shorts or skirts or anything reasonable, we would have just gotten James's feet, essentially. And I really, this tattoo means a lot to me. Jesse and James mean a lot to me. And I wanted them to show as much as possible. So with some creative posing done by the incredible Sila, which I'll talk about in a moment, I asked if we could please put this kind of where my knee hinges. I know it's like a little anatomically weird, but I am so glad. I'm so glad that we went with this. It's exactly where I wanted it. It's kind of fun too, because when I bend my knee, I'm like bending James's leg. I'm like breaking James's leg, but it's fine, like I said. And I love that it just kind of wraps around. It's going to be perfect for when I get the back of my legs tattooed, for a kind of, again, puzzle piecing into one big sleeve rather than just having it go straight down my leg and stop there. The fact that we get it to like bleed a little bit into the back, I'm obsessed. This was actually a matching tattoo with my cousin James, who is quite literally the James to my Jesse. This had been on my list to get tattooed for so long. From the very beginning, I knew this was a tattoo that I wanted, and I knew that I wanted Laurel Lupo to do it. I was like, he will kill it, he will do it perfectly, and I just have to wait. And so honestly most of the time was waiting for James to be free. His work schedule's horrendous. This was actually a custom commission from the very incredible artist Deity Sila, and I'll put her stuff in the description box below, of course. But I asked her if she would be comfortable if designing us tattoos. So I actually commissioned her to do our tattoo designs because she does James and my absolute favorite Team Rocket fan art. I just love how she represents them. She gets their attitude just right. They look a little less like, I don't know, cartoony, obviously. This is more how I think James and I see them. And I was so grateful that she agreed to design our tattoos. And so grateful to Laura Lupo for just bringing them to life so perfectly. I cannot believe the shading on this, the lines. It healed so well. These are thin lines, people. I'm blown away. The camera's so close that only parts of the tattoo will go into focus. But this is it, y'all. Like, full studio lights on it. 6 months healed. This is crazy to me. Super happy with it. Obviously, I think sometimes anime faces are so intimidating because they're only a few lines. Like, their faces are a few very basic lines, and if you don't get them exactly right, they can look like really weird. And that's why I was like, Laura Lupo's gotta do this. I know he's got this. If you look at his Instagram, every single piece is perfect. Meowth. I'm obsessed with the shading. I'm obsessed with the lines. It feels so much like a Laura Lupo tattoo and also feels so much like a Sila piece. So I'm so impressed. So there you go. This was 6 months ago. I can't really remember. Everyone always wants to know, like, oh, did this hurt? I don't really have a pain scale for tattoos too much. I can tell you if I struggled with any tattoos, but in general, I do not think tattoos hurt too badly. James is the biggest baby on planet Earth. The biggest baby on planet Earth. And he sat like a rock for his. So James also got a matching tattoo with me. Again, commissioned by Sila. And he got tattooed by Senpai Tattoos, who did my Josuke tattoo. So let's actually take one moment to look at Josuke and how he's healing up. Alright, so here is Josuke in all his beauty by Senpai Tattoos. Again, done at the same studio, Chibi, in Montreal. And this one's almost 2 years old. We'll say 1.5 years. So you'll probably remember it from last time. But I wanted to give a little update because the first time you saw it was 1 year ago. So here it is 1 year later. Again, I cannot believe how well this one healed. It just, it's like it melted into my skin. These, I've not gotten a single touch up on any of my tattoos. These, so bold. The detail, his glove. Oh my lord. Fantastic. Just his eyebrow. His face. I can't. Anyway, this one is just, my tattoos make me so happy. So, there's a little Josuke update. and just wanted to show you that because this is the same artist who did James's Jesse and James, which I will show you a picture of. And yeah, like I was saying, pain-wise, you will be fine. If James can do it, you can do it. Just tell yourself that. If you get nervous, James did it, you can do it. And he sat there like a rock. It was hilarious. So the only time I remember this being pretty uncomfortable was the back here. So that made me really nervous because I was going to get the back of my knee tattooed eventually, you know. But the rest of it was really fine. Side of your leg is really like nothing crazy, I feel like. So there you go. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I adore it so much. Also during this trip, River came because she was following this artist that she was absolutely obsessed with, and he was doing a guest spot the same weekend, the same place that we were going. So that was like a green flag for her. She was like, oh my god, he's guesting at Chibi. I knew this was a good artist. Seriously, his Instagram, absurd, so good. And so River got a pair of rats, and I will show that on screen as well. So we had a nice little tattoo weekend up in Montreal. It was more like a tattoo 24 hours, but you know, that's how we roll. I'm gonna just show you my knees while I talk, I guess. So next, we were basically just waiting, and by we I mean I, for artists' books to open. I was doing a ton of planning, making sure I was mapping out all the pieces of my legs. Honestly, I got to a point where like it was starting to get harder, and now again it's getting easier. So the first couple of big ones were easy, very flexible with like where the artist can go, changing the size and all of that. And then once I got a few big pieces really put in, the next pieces that I still wanted to be quite large in scale, you had to be more creative and more thoughtful with exactly how the design is based on the space that you end up with. So we thought for this next one. This was in January 2023 in Berlin, Germany. I went with one of my very, very best friends. We met in college, and she is just, I cannot put into words how much I love her. She knows that. And we knew if I got a tattoo to represent our friendship, or if I got a tattoo to represent our friendship, we would want it to be from Breaking Bad. Is it weird that I'm just talking to you with my knees? I can't tell, but here we are. All right, here it is, the Breaking Bad tattoo. Now, before I launch into the surprising amount of background detail I have about this, I just want to let you know the most important thing was that this was done by Is Tom's Toma in Berlin, Germany, at the Chamber Berlin. She's a Ukrainian artist living in Berlin, and I cannot recommend her more. Her level of just artistry is unreal. She did such an amazing job with my very, very specific request. Made it look so much better than I ever imagined. And the experience was fantastic. So if you're ever in Berlin, she's very, 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 very worth a visit. Literally go to Berlin simply to see her, as I did. No regrets. Would do it again a million times. So my best friend and I thought about what a good Breaking Bad tattoo would be that would kind of fit my tattoo style preference, because Breaking Bad is very artsy and aesthetic, but in a very different way than the art I usually appreciate. So we did agree that we both really loved the idea of making an Ozymandias reference. I'm going to do you a favor and link a Breaking Bad fan edit in the description. You are welcome. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the show. If you haven't seen it, if you don't want spoilers, feel free to skip ahead with the timestamps. So the skull is supposed to represent Walter White as his own version of Ozymandias, and my favorite part of the show, and the thing that really stuck with me for so many of my rewatches, when Walt finally admits to Skylar, "I did it for me." What a good show. That is an understatement. Walter sucks, okay? He sucks. He's supposed to suck. So this is kind of like, it's like an anti-tribute to him. I do not like him as a person. You should not like him as a person. But God, as a character. 10 out of 10, stellar show. The acting, the writing, I have been let down. We all have. So many times. By so many shows. Breaking Bad was just such a perfect, wrapped up gift. So anyway, we decided to do that as an Ozymandias reference. My favorite quote, "I did it for me," and then the quote itself is actually, again, kind of like ironic slash like anti-inspiration. It actually works on quite a few levels. Usually my tattoos don't have like this crazy meaning, but I guess it's the nature of Breaking Bad. So first of all, quite literally, as a reference to getting these tattoos, for doing something so out of my comfort zone, which, like, TLDR, major debilitating travel anxiety. That's like the biggest TLDR of the century. But then also the fact that these tattoos, and this one in particular, is quite literally not just for me. It was for my best friend, and that Walter alienated himself because he was so selfish, and he put his priorities almost exclusively on his own ego and his own success. Everything else he was blind to or actively harmed. So none of his success mattered. When he died, he left so much pain, so much suffering in his wake. And so on a very dramatic scale, something like this simple, it does remind me to cherish my relationships, because it was so easy for me to watch Walter White and say, "Walter, like, what are you doing? It's so obvious, his mistakes." So I would want to catch myself from ever leaning too far one way into things that don't matter, or God forbid, ever like things that might hurt other people. So this one is my most in-depth explanation, but I think it describes why my best friend and I love this show so much. It was just so much fun to talk about, so much fun to watch. We dressed up like Walter and Jesse for Halloween. It was glorious. I'll show you a picture. So we have the Lily of the Valley flowers, and I asked if we could make the flowers up top be like alive, and then as they get to the bottom, they start to dry up and die and wither. And then I also asked, she actually added these little bats to the tiny, tiny little gaps that would be left for my Castlevania tattoo. This is, of course, the back of the knee ditch. A lot of people wanted to know if this one hurt, and the surprising answer is no, it did not. I think it was a very lucky combination of Toma having just an incredibly light hand as an artist, and also the nature of the art style. It's a lot of tiny, fine lines, not a lot of like packing anything, you know. what made me really nervous was healing it. Because, first of all, again, the tiny fine lines and the back of the knee. It's a place that you move a lot, a place that has a lot of friction, and I've heard that they were really hard to heal. You can lose a lot of ink because it's such a weird spot. I was really concerned about this. I really wanted this tattoo to heal perfectly. I didn't want to do anything wrong. So I decided I was going to do everything in my power not to move my knee while it healed. So I bought a knee brace. I bought a knee brace and I put it on. I slept with it on. I brought a sling and I used crutches. I did do that. Oh, it was chaotic. It worked, I think. I don't know if I would recommend it. I went too far. As with most things, I went too far. And keeping my leg or my knee completely straight, I think the problem was that I kept it straight, hyperextended. I think I kind of messed up my knee for a little bit. It feels normal now. But I would recommend if you're gonna do it, keep it semi-relaxed like this, not like this. I had it like that for a week. Stupid. I'm walking downstairs and my legs, okay, it was terrible. But actually, one of the other reasons I got it on the back of my knee was in the poem Ozymandias, the statue is buried in the sand. And so I can kind of bury the skull by bending my knee. Boop. And now he's buried in the sand with just the crown popping out. Isn't that cool? So I'm going to share some random photos and pictures here so you don't have to just keep staring at my leg. I went to Barcelona. One of my really good friends from high school lives there, so I was going over to meet her, and then Ben was going to come the next day. So I had to take a flight, obviously. Well, I guess I could have taken a train. Flying from country to country in Europe is, oh my god, amazing. Trains, amazing. Transportation, amazing. It's like going from state to state in America, but it's a whole different country. I've learned a lot about traveling. You feel like such an idiot traveling, and I am an idiot, okay? And I say that because I am really bad, really, really, really bad with numbers. And I'm really bad with the 24-hour clock. So my flight was at 20 o'clock. And somehow I registered the wrong time in my head. So I was late to my flight to Barcelona. I'm trying to keep my knees straight here. And I get dropped off because I had to take an Uber. Otherwise, I was going to completely miss my flight. And the driver was like, oh, there's really only one terminal. You'll be fine. And drops me off at Terminal 1. Wrong. There is one other terminal, and it is 400 meters away, quarter of a mile. I'm already late. I have too many bags. I am hobbling. So I'm sprinting with one leg completely straight. Sprinting, sweating. I check my bags. Okay, we're good. I have to get to my gate. It is light years away. The German security, the German version of TSA, is terrible. Every country does security differently, and so many of them are also terrible. I'm we deal with the TSA in America, it's terrible. I go to a different country, it's different and terrible. Some of them are okay. I remember one was so good. Who was it? The Netherlands, I believe. The Netherlands was good, I think. Anyway, I just had to put that out there. German security at airports, awful. Just these stupidest rules for no reason that just take so long and waste everyone's time. Finally get through. Sprint hobble, sprobbling through the airport. I go down the wrong flight of stairs because all of the gates are down full flights of stairs. I'm at the wrong gate. There's no one there. Oh my god, I missed my flight. No way. It didn't leave yet. Realize I'm at the wrong gate. Hobble back up the stairs. Hobble to that gate. Hobble down the stairs. Made it on my flight. Thank goodness. So I paid like an extra some euro to sit in the very first seat, first row, because it seemed like it had the most leg room. I have a 35-inch inseam. I'm trying to keep my knee straight here. So I'm like, I need leg room so that I can literally just plop my leg out in my little knee brace. And so the flight attendant sees my knee brace and he's like, this is an emergency exit because you are physically unable to help in an emergency. You can't sit in this row. And I'm like, sir, I got a tattoo. I'm just trying to keep my legs straight. If the plane goes down, I will bend my knee. And also, that is questionable in general, okay? Let it be known, it was only me and another man in this row. So it's not like they filled it with other people that would help in an emergency. But they kicked me out of that seat, even though I said, I don't have to wear the knee brace. It will be fine. They're like, nah, I'm not really one to argue with, an airline in a country where I'm not from, I'm a visitor, so I'll just shut up, follow the rules. So anyway, they shoved me in another row just for takeoff. I had to bend my knee then, but then, whatever, the flight was fine. Landed in Barcelona, and I think I had 2 days until my next tattoo, and this was going to be with Faye Tattooer, who I had on my tattoo wish list. I think he was the very first one on my tattoo wish list, where I was like, oh my god, people are starting to do amazing anime tattoos, because the anime tattoo scene is very, very new, and it's definitely because the fans of anime and that culture, we've all gotten old enough where we can be tattoo artists, we can be tattooed. So it's really cool to see. It's absolutely exploded. But when I was looking at tattoos years and years ago, I saw one of his Hunter x Hunter tattoos on Reddit. That was like the first spark where I was like, there are some good anime tattoo artists out there, people who actually know anime, who are purposefully creating these tattoos, rather than people get anime tattoos before, but from artists who that wasn't usually their style, and you could just tell. It was really, really cool that I was finally able to get a tattoo from him, and so I decided on Attack on Titan. So here we are. This is my Levi. Do you love him? Because I love him so much. Now this is very, very small, and he usually does very large, huge, sleeves pieces. So I was really glad that he agreed to my proposal. And I basically just said, I know I want Levi, Hanji, and Erwin, really small, full body, flying around my leg on ODM gear. So this is from Attack on Titan. If you haven't seen my Attack on Titan videos, I have a ton of them. Hanji is just one of my most favorite characters of all time. Perhaps only eclipsed by Levi. I do love Levi so much. Levi and Hanji, I don't know, they just do something to me. And I felt too mean not getting Erwin. If I get these two, I have to get Erwin. So here we are. these are from direct manga references. And if you're familiar with the manga style, it'll probably make more sense. It's a lot sketchier than, like, literally, like, sketch, than the anime. So I can post the reference photos here. We did find the perfect manga panel of Levi. He's pulling out the maneuver gear blade out of his, I guess I would call that like the sheath, and this is where they put the gas. But we had to get really creative with this because once again we're filling in these spots that are so random, and I just could not believe how perfectly this fit. Look at this little Levi baby. Oh, so then on the back, right above the new Breaking Bad tattoo, Levi's besties. Erwin, come on, focus in, there you go. Erwin. And Erwin never flies with his ODM gear in all of the manga, so we had to appropriate this from a, what's it called, promotional image of him, and then Faye just had to like make it look like the manga style. And then of course our absolute majesty, Hanj. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh my god, I love them so much. I can't even put it into words. And I don't get to see this tattoo that often because it's behind me. So let's just revel in it. So this is really cool to get. I love how they fit. The placement and things took us 3 hours because we didn't go in with references. So we had to find the references and then find the perfect placement. And I think we did. So there's Levi back there. With this one hurt. This one hurt. And it just goes to show, it's the ones that surprise you, you know? I did not expect this one to hurt as badly as it did. But I was like, I was texting Ben, you know? I was like, release me from this hellscape. And he was like, oh, my darling person, you will be fine. And I was fine. But he had a pretty heavy hand, I would say. And I think it kind of shows with how dark this turned out. But it's absolutely, like, perfect for the Attack on Titan manga style. It's dark and gritty and, like, a little sketchy. And I really, really like how it turned out. And I knew it was going to be really hard to fit a decent amount of detail into something so small. It's like, here's my hand. They're like the size of my fingy, you know? It's a small tattoo. I cannot believe we got in what we did, you know? So, that was in Barcelona. And I love it. Love it. So this next one has a little bit of explanation as well, so I'll put some photos on top while I talk about it. But TLDR, I was supposed to go back to Berlin for another tattoo that I was going to get with one of my other cousins I'm very, very close to, but she is more private. We were going to get matching tattoos, and the artist that I wanted to get mine from was again in Berlin, but she couldn't go until March. River found a tattoo artist in Berlin that she really liked, and I also had found a tattoo artist in Belgium that I really liked. I thought I would maybe be going to another artist, so I was like, okay, cool, if I make a trip out, I want to try to maximize the tattoos. I can't just be flying back and forth. It doesn't make any sense. So it's already unhinged. Let's make it as least unhinged as possible. What happened was, last minute, the artist unfortunately had to cancel. It was like a personal situation. They were no longer going to be in Berlin, but we decided to go out anyway because Berlin is an amazing city, okay? And we kind of made it into a huge trip. So you guys probably are familiar with Sav. She is my other best friend from college. We also met in college. I met Ben and Sav and Jen, the friend that I got the Breaking Bad tattoo for, in college. And you know what? They made it worth it. Okay, they made it worth it. Sav agreed to come with me for my tattoo to Belgium because I was getting my knee tattooed, and I was like, it's just more helpful when like someone else is there. So it turned into me, Sav, River, my cousin, her girlfriend, and then my other cousin who lives in Europe, all in Berlin. And it was a great time. Completely opposite from my trip with Jen just a few months prior. It was just her and me. And we'd spent like 6 hours at the museum reading absolutely every plaque and then like Googling for 4 hours all the history, and like not sleeping and getting up at the crack of dawn to like do all the touristy things. And then the trip in March, it was just, well, I think the problem was that I was in charge. It was chaos. It was chaos, but it was so fun, like fun chaos. And both of them were perfect. Everyone is tattooed. My cousin, her girlfriend, myself, and Sav. We're all tattooed. And we're like, let's all like try to book really small tattoos. We were looking for artists in Berlin. There are a ton of amazing ones. And I stumbled across Beta Puba. Oh my god. I instantly knew I wanted to get a tattoo from them. Just look at their Instagram. I will link it below. I needed one of their chickens. I am so lucky. She said she had space, and so I asked if I could get a custom chicken, and they said yes. So I kind of like mock drew up like a quick doodle of a chicken listening to ASMR, and my design was born. Because very long overdue that we get an ASMR tattoo. I've been thinking about what I wanted, and I couldn't really decide on something, and that's when I know to just let things simmer. Let it simmer and it'll happen. Something will come to you, and the chicken came to me. I just knew that this was right. I got the little tingles, and the little phone plugged in. And it's just a little chicken enjoying some relaxing ASMR. I decided on this spot, which is on the inside of my left knee, because I wanted it to be visible. A tattoo like this, I hope it, makes people smile when they see it. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too hidden away. And the other reason is because on the rest of my leg here, my knee, all the way, my whole left calf and leg, I'm planning on doing a Devilman Crybaby massive piece, which is really dark subject matter, really intense, and so I wanted to have a balance that I feel like represented me, my personality and my tastes, honestly. And I just love the dichotomy, knowing that I'm gonna have demons, very detailed, very dark demons. Then I'm gonna have my little chicken vibing out to ASMR. So this was such a fun experience. Again, they did an amazing job. This took an hour, which, if you've not been tattooed, I was very surprised. But this chicken is never ever leaving my skin. It's never leaving my side. All my tattoos may fade, but the chicken will stay. This one's for all of y'all. I actually asked on Twitter what we should name the ASMR chicken, and there are way too many good names. I actually can't pick one. They're actually too good. I was supposed to have my tattoo, the one that got canceled, was supposed to go on this half of my kneecap all the way up this blank spot, all the way up, so my whole right leg, at least the front of it, would have been completely done. But this is the one that got canceled. But now it was a blessing in disguise, because I wouldn't have gotten this, and it was awesome. So absolutely no regrets. I'm really hoping I can reschedule the one that was canceled. I'm still working on that, so I'm not sure when. The very last one then was to go to Brussels, actually Ypres, which is about a 2-hour train ride out of Brussels, to go to my appointment with an artist named Siebes. So the TLDR story of this one was, I'm just glad that we made it. There was a very nice man named Wolfgang involved. We almost got on a train. Well, we did get on a train to Amsterdam. We found out in time. It was fine. We had to stay overnight in Cologne. It was fine. We made it. Okay. So anyway, Sav and I had an amazing time in Brussels. It was like one day there. I mean, we were pooped. Absolutely pooped. And then the next day we went down to Ypres and I met Siebes. So that brings us to our current newest baby, 19 days old. This is Trevor's Morning Star, like the end of it. To kind of finish off this area of my knee. And I didn't want to add I didn't want to add something new thematically. I didn't want to add something from a new show or anything. So I said, let's just keep going with Castlevania, because this piece from She Is, it's just, we'll look at that again in a moment, because chef's kiss. But I saw Siebes' art and I was like, yo, I know he could do something super cool with Castlevania. I gave him a couple options and we ended up going with this because, once again, we had to be very creative with this spot. So my goal was to not have a knee tattoo. I didn't want a kneecap tattoo because I didn't want that to be what your eye was drawn to. And because your knee just bends so much, it's really hard to put a lot of things there. So you're kind of limited with options. Everything feels a little played out to me. And I like to get things from shows and like media. So anything that I thought would like look really cool, it was just like for the sake of looking cool and not like from something, which was kind of like the theme of my legs. Long story short, he came up with this sick design. If you know, you know. I am absolutely in love with how it looks. Kind of makes Trevor Belmont look like a feminist. You know what I mean? Okay? And this flaming morning star with that resembles. Okay, I love it, and it's perfect for me. It's absolutely perfect for me. I'm so pleased with how it fits perfectly in this spot. And I tend to get a lot of faces, people, characters. So anytime I can come up with something cool that's not a face to balance out my leg, I'm happy. But this just turned out so awesome. We did the chain up the knee to start covering my kneecap. And then the other tattoo that got canceled that I hopefully will reschedule, my plan would be to have that kind of come down and end in here. Again, kind of puzzle piecing everything. So Seeps was a delight. Ypres is a delight. If anyone's close to there or has any interest in traveling there, I highly recommend. It's very underrated, I believe. Gorgeous place. And Seeps actually, his tattoo shop, his brother has a flower shop right next door. They could have their own show, okay? It was so cool. He said for the chain links themselves, he kept them more simple than he usually does because it was going onto my kneecap. And he said that a lot of the times, like with knee tattoos, a lot of the ink will fall out, so if he did shading, it wouldn't necessarily stay how he wanted it to stay. And I was like, well, is that because people move their knee a lot? And he's like, well, yeah, that's definitely like a big part of it. And I said, well, what if I just didn't move my knee? He's like, well, you can't just not move your knee for a week. And I was like, oh, but I can't. Anyway, I didn't move my knee for another week, but this time I was more reasonable and kind of just kept it semi-bent in the same position for a week rather than locked straight for a week. And it went much better this time. But 19 days in, I think we're doing quite well. It's a little red right now because I'm like handling it. That's just my skin, so it's not usually red. You just saw it become red on camera. So here's some crispy detail. It's not fully settled into my skin. That usually takes for me like 2-ish months. And then he said this one was particularly challenging because this spot that I had open, so it essentially has like 4 or 5 different textures. We had the actual kneecap, we have this part here, we have this part here, like inside here, and then we have the flat part here. That's 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably 5, honestly, the front. So, he did an amazing job. Absolutely amazing. Like you can't tell that it was such a challenging tattoo, you know? When somebody makes it look easy, that's how you know. So yeah, that's my latest one. So this inner part of my leg is complete. I have this back part here, and then the front part that we are rescheduling, and this top part here that I do have a plan for. So let's do a full overview of what we're looking like now, and I'll do some close-ups of the old tattoos. They're not old, but the ones that you've already seen, so you can see the comparisons of how they're doing. Alright, so here are my legs currently from the front. It's really hard to show. You can see the chain and the nenfish, those are the top ones. And then the fronts of my legs are actually becoming the most bare part. So we have one here coming, one here. I have an idea for, actually I've booked for here up. I have an idea for here. And then this would be Devilman Crybaby. Okay. So, side individual close-ups of all of these, but we have Peach and Bowser, the Nunchains, and Team Rocket. The back. Okay, this is definitely the most bare. But I have this entire panel. Whew. That's one tattoo that's already booked. And Devilman Crybaby should be on my calf too, we'll see. And then up here, I'm thinking a My Chemical Romance tattoo. This side, kind of, it's hard to get my whole leg into a horizontal video. We've got Josuke, Nenfish, a little bit of Killua peeking out there, and of course our beloved Alucard. And then the insides of my legs, we have Beastars and ASMR Chicken. And then this inside of my leg is like done. Look at that. So if you just look here, like if you look at this leg here, this is kind of the vibe that I'm going for with the rest of my leg. Although I will say the rest of the pieces I have are all quite big, so I'm not sure if it'll look exactly like this, but you know what I mean. Where see, it's like patchwork. Everything fits to make a very organized chaos, and that is my aesthetic. So we'll do a little close-up of the other ones. So the rest of these tattoos that I'm about to show you are over a year old. Happy birthday. These are by Taituk. And they are the Nenfish from Hunter x Hunter, one of Crollo's stolen abilities. And the tail goes all the way down to Josuke. And then there's an inner one. My least painful and my most painful tattoo, I think. This one's very hard to get on camera. So this was the one that had to fit like into the other tattoo. And I can't really show this one off too much, but you get the gist. Freaking amazing. Then we have the Nunchains. Kurapika's Nunchains. Healing quite well. Or they're already healed. What am I even saying? This one, we just kind of faded out this chain. I might add more to that later. We'll see. There we go. Really cool. This one was, I can't remember how old this one was when I filmed the first part. There we go. So we have the chain. Then we have Peach and Bowser, actually done by another artist. Actually, the first artist I ever got tattooed from at Chibi Tattoo Montreal, Leanne. And I love this one so much. It's my matching tattoo with River. I'm Bowser. She's Peach. And we cosplayed them. And honestly, I think the Mario movie took inspiration from our comedic rendition of Bowser. But this has healed so nicely. It's just so lovely. And I particularly love how the shading is soft yet contrasty. And this one's a year and a half as well. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. My little babies. Then, of course, we have my one arm tattoo from Death Note. Thank you very much. And I like to think it's L for Luigi. But I also want a Luigi tattoo. Just perfect. Perfect. And we have my very, 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 very first tattoo, this side, which was done for the charity stream. This one's actually 3 years old. The non-stop tattoo. If you were there, you remember. So, those are the only tattoos I have above my hips for now. Here is our beautiful Beastars, Legoshi and Haru, done by Serena. But look at this, it's super dark, kind of Legoshi inner demon. He looked really cool. Then we have its little twin, which is F. Bianco's Chaos. Again, just celebrated its first birthday. Chef's kiss. Get some spicy 4K 1 year detail. Like, dang. Not shabby for skin, you know. They're really cool. Really cool part of this is the bottom with all the faces. So if I'm ever wearing anything that kind of just like cuts off, I still get this part showing. We'll go right over to Golden Killua. So the panel that I chose was one where Gon is saying, "It'll be fun." And all the little like action lines. Absolutely crazy. This one is like a year and a half, actually. Year and a half old. There's Killua. There's the boys together. Here they are from the front. My boys. It's me and Ben. Then we did see Josuke, but we'll say hi to him again. Hi, Josuke. Hi. So this one's actually impossible to get on camera. Trevor. Sypha. And on the other side, you'll see Alucard. I'm gonna see where I can put my camera so you can see the whole thing. The problem is my legs are so vertical. They're so vertical, and this camera is so horizontal. So horizontal. But look at them. They're doing great. They're doing great. I might just make a bed and film my leg tomorrow or something. I feel like I'm not giving him the best, literally, not the best light. My beautiful Alucard. Look at that. That's on my leg. Whoa. The parts that are completely filled in always blows my mind. So cool. We have our new piece. There. Yeah. Getting there. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll link my other Q&As in the description box, along with all the artist information. So lucky that everyone has just been incredibly professional, incredibly nice. So, highly recommend. And yeah, I'll see you next time.